hello, welcome to my class. Today we are going to discuss a new topic, sectors of Indian economy from the chapter Economy through various sectors. On the basis of the nature of product produced or method of production, we can classify the sectors of Indian economy into three sectors: primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. The first sector is primary sector. The primary sector is also known as agricultural sector because primary sector refers to the economic activities in natural goods are produced either through direct extraction from nature or by using some natural or biological process, so that the sector is also known as agriculture sector, and the sector is related with agricultural activities, animal husbandry and fishing, which depend on natural resources, and it is the examples for the primary sector activities. You can see the examples from the given picture. The primary sector had certain characteristics. First, it produces natural goods, and goods are produced either by exploiting from nature or by using natural or biological process. It is a supplier of raw materials to secondary sector, and those activities include in the primary sector that utilize the natural resources directly are the major characteristics of primary sector. The next sector is secondary sector, and it includes the activities which changes the form of goods into some other more useful forms through a process of manufacturing. Examples are: yarn is converted into cloth by weaving, sugarcane converted into sugar mill, crude oil converted into petrol, which means textile mill, sugar mill and refinery are the major examples of secondary sector, and this sector includes the economic activities related to industry and manufacturing, and this sector is called the industrial sector. The secondary sector had certain characteristics. First, it produces manufactured goods, and the goods are produced through a process of manufacturing, and it is the consumer of primary sector, and also it increases the utility of goods by changing their forms, so that this sector is known as industrial sector. Then the third sector is tertiary sector. It includes the activities that does not produce any goods but provide services. It is known as service sector. Tertiary sector helps in the development of the primary and secondary sectors, and the major examples are given in the picture. That are transportation, storage, trade, communication, banking, insurance are the major examples for tertiary sector. The tertiary sector, through its activities, make more efficient the economic activities related to the storing and marketing of primary and secondary sector, and the tertiary sector also ensures the service of various fields like health and education, so that this sector is also known as service sector. Let's learn the characteristics of tertiary sector. The characteristics of tertiary sectors are: it produces services. Services are rendered in presence of users which are intangible and cannot be stored for future use, and it assists the primary and secondary sector and the tertiary sector, so that known as service sector. Let me learn the difference between primary and secondary sector. The primary sector produces natural goods while the secondary sector produces manufactured goods, and the primary sector's goods are produced through directly exploration from nature or by using natural process, and the secondary sector goods are produced through a process of manufacturing. And the last point, the primary sector is the supplier of secondary sector, while the secondary sector is the consumer of primary sector are the major difference between the primary and secondary sector. Let me learn the difference between primary and tertiary sector. The primary sector produces natural goods. Goods are produced by exploiting from the nature or by using natural process, and it is a supplier of secondary sector, while the tertiary sector produces service, and services are rendered in presence of users and which are intangible and cannot be stored for the future use, and it assists the primary and secondary sector, and the tertiary sector is known as service sector. These are the major difference between the primary and the tertiary sector. This is the difference between secondary and tertiary sector. It is also the same of the previous one, and the secondary sector are produced manufactured goods, and goods are produced through a process of manufacturing, and it is the consumer of primary sector, and the secondary sector is also known as industrial sector, while the tertiary sector produces services, and services are rendered in presence of users which are intangible and cannot be stored for future use, and it has the primary and secondary sector, and this sector is also known as service sector. The three sectors, primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector, which are the major sectors of Indian economy, are closely connected and depend on one another for the smooth functioning of the country. All the three sectors are dependent on each other, and all products or services reaches into the hand of the consumers with a collective contribution of all three sectors. For the development of one sector, development of one and another sector is very important as they cannot work independently, and the primary sector provides raw materials to the secondary sector, and the secondary sector processes these raw materials to the finished goods, while which are then supplied to the tertiary sector for the distribution, and each sectors are dependent on each other. Now let's test your knowledge with simple questions. You can write the answer and we will check the answer at the end of the section. The first question is, which sector is known as agriculture sector? The second question is, which sector is known as service sector? And third question is, what are the examples for secondary sector? The answers of the questions are, first is primary sector, second tertiary sector, and the third textile mill and sugar mill. You have an activity that prepare a digital magazine which shows the features of sectors of Indian economy with examples. I hope you all enjoy my class. Thanks for watching.